Revision Topic 1. Couples and the Domestic Division of Labour. The division of labour refers to the roles men and women play within the household, e.g. housework, childcare, and do they share this equally? Parsons, the functionalists, identifies two roles within the family: the instrumental role and the expressive role. The instrumental role is the role that's carried out by the male, and the expressive role is the female. She is the nurturer, the carer. The instrumental is the breadwinner. Parsons argued that this gender division of labour amongst couples is functional for the members of society. He sees this as due to biological reasons. Okay, men are born stronger, so they should be out being the breadwinner, and women are naturally predisposed to being the mother and the carer. The New Right agree with Parsons. That this biologically based gender division of labour is the best way of organising family life. Let's talk about the March of Progress. This view sees conjugal roles as becoming more equal. By conjugal roles, we mean who does what in the house, okay? And the March of Progress sees this as positive and it's becoming more equal. Bott identifies two types of conjugal roles. There are segregated conjugal roles. Segregated conjugal roles are separate. There is a sharp division of labour between the breadwinner and the homemaker. The breadwinner really spends all of his time working, and then his leisure time is spent with his friends, for example, in the pub, whereas the female is her time spent at home and her leisure time is spent with her family. But also identified, as well as segregated conjugal roles, joint conjugal roles. And this was where couples shared domestic tasks equally. Wilmot and Young found segregated conjugal roles in working class families. And they did this study in the 1950s, so it is relatively out of date. They found that men were breadwinners. They weren't involved in home life or anything like that, and they found that women were full-time housewives and mothers. The symmetrical family, Wilmot and Young then did another study in 1973, and they found that there was a trend towards joint conjugal roles. and the symmetrical family. They find that women now go out to work. They find that men help with housework. And they find that couples spend time together. Why is this happening? Why is there this trend, this move towards the symmetrical family? Well, according to Wilmot and Young, the role of the symmetrical family is due to major social changes, for example, higher living standards. For example, there's more mod cons out there, that would help, like microwaves and things, so that people have more free time and men are more willing to help out with the housework. There's also better housing. Women are working, so it's only fair that men do their share, and there are smaller families, so less children to look after and more time to spend together. So that's the reasons for the move towards symmetry then. Feminists reject the March of Progress. They reject it. So they reject the notion of the symmetrical family. Feminists say that the family is patriarchal. That is, male dominated. They say the family is there to benefit men, and that women are virtual slaves. Oakley talks about the housewife, and she says that the housewife is the primary role for women. She said that in the 19th century, because of industrialization, women were excluded from the workplace. This is due to industrialization. And that Oakley also says the housewife role is socially constructed. What does that mean? That means that women aren't born natural carers. It means that because of laws in labour, i.e. that children weren't allowed to work in the factories, that children had to stay in compulsory education, somebody had to stay at home and look after the children, and it turned out to be the mothers. Therefore society needed women to stay at home, and that's why the whole notion of the housewife has basically emerged. It wasn't just that women were born weaker, the fairer sex. Okay, let's talk about the impact of women in work and how that has impacted on couples. Gershuni found that men whose wives worked full-time did more domestic work. So when women work, Gershuni found that men helped in the house. She found that this change in values then helped couples accept that women have to work, and so are adapting to life. to fit that. And Gershini also said that jobs in the house are still sex typed. What does that mean? It means that men do DIY and women do cleaning. Let's talk about the commercialisation of housework. Couples can now buy in goods and services, so you can pay for help in the house, and you can pay for machinery in the house like microwaves, tumble dryers and things to make life easier. Okay, Sure argues that this has led to the death of the housewife rule. But only for the well-off, so there is a divide between the rich and the poor. Ferry and Smith talk about the notion of the dual burden. The dual burden is when women have to work and paid work and then come home and basically do a full day's work when they come back, and that men benefit from this. Morris found that even where the wife was working and the husband was unemployed, she was still the one who did most of the work at the house. The triple shift was a term by Duncombe and Marsden. And the triple shift refers to women carrying the dual burden, and as well as a dual burden and not another shift on top of that. So the triple shift is emotional work, domestic labour, that's emotional would be looking after the children, domestic would be housework, and also paid work. The next topic in regards to couples would be resources and decision making. So, who buys what and who makes the major decisions? Kempson found that women in low-income families denied their own needs. So, where money is low, women go without, so that their children usually can survive or are more comfortable. Also in households where there's lower income, Kempson found that women were more likely to suffer in poverty than men. Pal and Bolger also talk about decision making within the house, and they identify two types of families. They talk about how money is shared, really, or who has the control of the funds. And two types of family emerge then: the allowance system, whereby the men work and give the wife housekeep. And the second type was the